Common denominators and equivalent fractions. Today's learning target, I can determine the lowest common denominator of two fractions. Let's dig in to see what that means. Jacqueline bought 3/4 pounds of apples at the farmer's market. Abby bought 1/6 pounds of apples. How many pounds of apples did Jacqueline and Abby buy in total? To solve this problem, we would need to add 3/4 plus 1/6, or 3/4 plus 1/6. Now, you guys all know that 3/4 is more than a half, right? And here's 1/6, this little piece. How can we add 3/4 plus 1/6? Does it make sense to just add our numerators and denominators? Could that equal 4/10, which is less than half? So how do we add two fractions that have different denominators? A common denominator of two fractions is a common multiple of their denominators. In order to add two fractions, they have to have the same denominators. The way we're going to find the same denominator is by looking at multiples of our denominators. We were trying to add 3/4 and 1/6. We had a denominator of 4 and a denominator of 6. If we think about our multiples of 4, which means we skip count by 4, we're going to start by counting the first 5 multiples. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. When we skip count by 6, that was our second denominator. We have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. Remember, we're trying to find a common multiple because that will become our new denominator. What is the lowest common multiple? Well, there only is one multiple in common. 12 is a multiple of 4, right? When you count by 4s, you hit 12, and it's a multiple of 6. Therefore, that number will become our new denominator. In order to make 12 our new denominator, we're going to use what we know about equivalent fractions to create two new fractions with a denominator of 12. Again, why 12? That was our lowest common multiple, or LCM for short. How can I make 12 my new denominator? Well, 4 times what equals 12? Oh, right, 4 times 3 equals 12. Whatever you do to the denominator, you got to do the same thing to the numerator to ensure that you keep your fractions equivalent. When you multiply by 3, your new fraction is 9/12. 9/12 is just another way of saying 3/4. They are equivalent. What about 1/6? 6 times what equals 12? If you were thinking 2, you're right. Because we multiplied the 6, the denominator, by 2, we need to do the same thing to the numerator to create an equivalent fraction. What's our new equivalent fraction for 1/6? If you said 2/12, you were right. Why did we do that? Because now we have two new fractions that have the same denominator. So now we can add 3/4 plus 1/6, or 9/12 plus 2/12. 9/12, which means 9 pieces, right? Each one's a 12th, and 2 pieces, each one's a 12th. We're just going to add our numerators, is 11/12. Let's look at another example together. If we wanted to find the lowest common denominator of 2/3 and 1/5, the first thing we're going to do is look at our denominators and ask ourselves, what are the multiples of 3 and what are the multiples of 5? What is the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5? Well, the only one we see is 15. That would become our new denominator. Can you make two new equivalent fractions with a denominator of 15? 2/3 and 1/5. Our denominator is 15. 3 times what equals 15? 3 times 5. We're going to multiply the 2 by 5 as well. 2 times 5 equals 10. Our new fraction is 10/15. 1/5 we're going to multiply by 3 because again, we want to get our denominator of 15. Because 5 times 3 is 15, we need to multiply our 1 by 3 as well. And therefore, we would have a new fraction of 3/15. Once you have a common denominator, you can add, you can subtract, you can compare, and you can more easily work with these two fractions. You try. I'm going to leave you with 4 examples that we will look at together in class. Can you list your multiples of your denominators? Here's 12 and 9. To find the denominator that they have in common. Once you've done that, can you try to write 2 new equivalent fractions using your common denominator? Good luck. See ya on Zoom.